All right, I'm gonna first apologize for my voice. I was sick. I am not currently sick, so you can all feel comfortable in the room. But if you can't hear me and you're on screen, please let me know. I'll do my best to speak up. I'm gonna call to order a regular meeting of the Wellington Board of Selectmen. It is Monday, April 4th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. We'll note that Selectwoman Boritz is not in attendance. The next item is to call, Pledge of Allegiance, if you will join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the next item is approval of minutes. I will apologize, there are no minutes yet from our last meeting. Kelsey was able to complete them, but I have not looked them over yet, so they did not get filed as I was out for a good portion of last week.
So my records have March 21st and March 23rd.
Yes,
Both special
correct.
meetings, I think.
And they are both in my inbox, so we will have them in our next meeting. That brings us to present to speak. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak? No. Okay, if there's anyone on the call who would like to speak, you should be able to unmute yourself. I ask you to identify yourself for the record. Limit your comments to 2 minutes. Is there anyone present to speak? All right, going once, going twice.
Yes, I would like to speak.
You can identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, Judy Campbell.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Is it okay to ask questions right now?
You can speak. We don't conduct business, so we will hear what you have to say, and then at the appropriate time, typically outside of the meeting, can respond to you.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess my question would be under your March 7th meeting minutes that were posted under the good and welfare. I have several questions about the former assessor and would like some clarification on it.
Okay, so I can tell you that our assessors left us, and I would be happy to speak with you if you want to contact my office outside of this meeting.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. I can set up an appointment to discuss the issues and stuff that I guess were posted by you under the good and welfare of the minutes of March 7th. Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else present to speak? All right, there'll be an opportunity at the end of the meeting. Excuse me. All right, it brings us to correspondence. You have a list of correspondence in your pack. All right, it brings us to Selectmen's report. The steep grant, we are working with DPH to sign the contract. I fully anticipated being able to tell you we did that last week. They found an error on their part. This morning they sent me 4 different contracts, so we're trying to clarify before I read through all 4 of them what the issue was. So I anticipate by our next meeting we will have signed a contract and be ready to move forward with the actual process of the project. School building committee. Our next meeting is tomorrow. This Wednesday at 6:30. Last week, in 2 groups, the school building committee had the opportunity to tour Birch Grove. So I want to thank their building principal as well as the superintendent for allowing our committee to tour their beautiful building. It gave us the ability to see what would go into not just a new build, but if we were to renovate or add an addition on to our current facility, to kind of see what some of the things that would be put in place were in a newer facility. And so I was part of a small group. There are 2 small groups, so we'll be discussing that at our meeting. But I found it to be very helpful to get a real sense of what we'd be putting into a building that wouldn't have been in a building the age of ours. So again, I encourage people to attend that meeting. Tomorrow, the Board of Education has a special meeting where they're going to begin discussing the specs. They're approved by the Board of Selectmen, I'm sorry, by the Board of Education, and they are eventually what will be used to develop the project from the school building committee. And that's all I have for school building committee. Let's see, lots of, the RFP for design work is going out this week. Truck leases, we still have one truck out, we still, I see Troy shaking his head. I ask them almost every day, so we still have no new date on when the third truck, which is the replacement truck for the public works director, will be in, so I'll keep you posted when we learn something new. Excuse me, the ARPA Commission met today to discuss additional projects, and I actually put a larger update on this meeting, so we'll discuss in further detail down the road here. Union negotiations, I spoke to our attorney today, we have a document, and hopefully, once again, in the coming days, we will be ready to approve that on our end, or wait for ratification from the union.
Is that where we are right now, waiting for union ratification?
Yes, so we have the language, there's a little bit of back and forth with our attorneys, and then they will ratify. Yes,
So they finished their back and forth.
not as of this morning, there was still one piece we were waiting to hear back from them on. So,
Are they projecting any, when they're gonna be done with
No.
their end of it?
No. No.
It would be very nice if they did that.
It sure would. So, staffing update, I will tell you, since our last meeting, we received a resignation from Amanda Pilati, who is our payroll coordinator. Has been with us for almost 8 years now. She's leaving us to go work at. She'll have the opportunity to have summers off with her young children. We certainly will miss her for sure. She'll be a great asset to Center School, and so she is staying with the town, but moving down the street. So we've already posted her position, and so we'll keep you posted on that. We also have an opening at the transfer station for the assistant transfer station operator. So our part-time operator is no longer with us. COVID-19 updates. We still sit at 64% fully vaccinated. Since our last meeting, we've had 3 new cases in Wilmington. Although I sound terrible, I'm not one of them. We were at a case rate of 6.1 on Thursday. We were at 7.3 at our last. So there's, slight dips and increases, but they're mild. And so at this point, we're still manageable. There's no thought from my office about making any adjustments to what we're doing. I think we're going to see this. We're going to see some slight fluctuations, and just ask people to be conscious of their really behaviors when you're sick, right? If you're sick, stay home.
That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. And I've been saying that for a long time. So last week when I woke up sick, I stayed home, which was
And we all
difficult
know
for me
the
to
drill,
do.
right? We go and find the test.
My home tested probably more than we should have, but we want to be conscious of those that we're around. So we ask people once again, just to be conscious of others and think beyond ourselves. If you're sick, stay home. All right, that's all I have for my update. I will at this time though, make a motion to add item to approve item B under new business to add CIP update.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
I just moved
Oh, then I will second.
second. All right, any discussion? So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to Public Works. Troy is here, so I suppose he'll read his report for us.
We're still doing the trash twice a week at the park. We've started grading the dirt roads, weather permitting. We've been cutting some brush around town, around the waterways and stuff. We've chipped brush from the trees that fell. We had a little windstorm over the weekend. So we had a couple trees come down with that. Roadside mowing is still going on around town. We installed the water tank for the upcoming sweeping season. We've continued to wash the trucks. They've serviced the lawnmowers for the upcoming mowing season. We helped today the conservation committee with installing a dock back at Burma Park. And I guess it floated over the summer when we had some heavy rains, so we helped them put that back. We moved the picnic table. We made like a stone path down to the dock, and the stone that had the plaques on it was leaning, so we stood that back up for them. And this week, and starting probably next week, sweeping will start, weather depending. That's all I got.
Excellent, as we enter the rainy season here. Any questions or comments, Public Works? All right, I know I will share thanks on behalf of the Conservation Commission. Kathy Demers sent an email earlier this afternoon, thanking you all for your assistance, and she's there, shared some photos, so I might use those and put them out there so people can kind of get a bird's eye view of some of the things we do that aren't just roads, plowing and such. All right, move on to old business. Item A is update on the ARPA Commission. So I wanted to put this on the agenda so I give you a little bit more detail. I've shared with you what is shared with the ARPA Commission, which is kind of our tracking sheet of projects. So to date, the commission has approved, to date, 11 projects have been approved. 4 of those were prior to the commission, and they were approved at town meeting. The remaining 7 were approved by the commission. Thus far totaling $1,036,500. $1,036,500. So we still have just over 309,000 in requests that have already been submitted that haven't gotten approval yet. And then that leaves almost $390,000 still to be able to be used. So we have 389,000 that we don't have projects attached to yet. So you're still accepting submissions. I will tell you, of those projects, 2 have been completely finished. And so we discussed today how we go about closing out a project so that any remaining funds could go back into the pool to be spent. So the senior center air conditioning and the town hall air purifiers have been completed. And I'm happy to say both of those came in under budget. The senior center was almost $5,000 under budget and $240 on the air purifiers. And then we anticipate about $14,000 under budget on the basement project here. We're waiting for the dehumidifier to come in and be installed, and then we'll close that out. And that should give us about another $14,000 savings. So far of the 3 projects that have been started, work on, we're under budget. So I'm happy to say there'll be some additional funds available.
In addition to the 389 that we have.
Correct. So we haven't put those
allocated.
back in. Today, we decided that our process would be to formally close them out.
Yep.
And then they go back into the total to be spent
Yes.
again. And until that time, we won't
Yep.
spend them.
That's the correct way to do it.
Yeah, so we know for sure that those 2 will be closed, potentially the 3rd one by that time, but I don't think so. And so we'll formally close them, they'll go back in, and then we'll know what we have. And so we'll continue that process. The other part of our process, I explained this at our last meeting, is that the projects are first received by the commission. So on our agenda, we receive them, then we hear them, then we'll take them to public meeting, and then action can be taken on them. So today, we received several new projects. We heard several new projects. We tabled some up to the next meeting. And we didn't, there are 2 items from the last public hearing that we could take action on, but we're waiting on those, waiting to get more updated numbers on both of them. And of the total, the 11 projects that were approved, 2 will be in the next tranche of funding. So they'll move forward, but not until we have the next set of funding. So they'll be after July 1 is when we anticipate getting that next tranche of funding. We're only spending up to the $867,727.11. So anything after that, we'll wait until then. I'll tell you for the Board of Selectmen projects, The radios for DPW were approved, and they were ordered, and it looks like we'll be at least $10,000 under budget on that project, potentially more. So we're happy to hear that initial quote. So we ordered those, and then Troy, additional quote for the generator. That's a project that won't come in till July 1, and it looks like we may be able to save some dollars from the original quote we got there. So, we're always looking to stay under budget if we can. And so we'll continue to do so. And our procurement policy still stands, three bids or a state approved vendor. Any ARPA questions?
So just so it's clear in my mind.
Yes.
The process works as we receive the project, we hear the project, there's a public meeting, then we take action on the project, and then we do a closeout.
Yes, yeah. And, the committee is, it's not as though as soon as the public hearing, we have to take action. And so some things we moved on because we were comfortable with the project and then we had all of the things we needed. We held off on 2. And I think today, if you're able to go back and watch the meeting, once it's posted, you'll see that we still have some questions about the projects we heard. And we want to have those questions answered before we send them to public hearing. So, the committee's really working to do our due diligence before we get to the point of taking action on these projects. And our next meeting, we're still the first and third Monday of the month for our regular meeting. So our next meeting will be, I still miss a calendar down here. Is it the 18th? The 18th of April. So 1:30, April 18th. And again, we'll post the meeting for today. All right, that brings us to item B, which is CIP. So based on some adjustments made at the Board of Finance meeting, CIP met last week and made some adjustments and formally made a new recommendation. I apologize, this didn't get added to the agenda. Again, my sick brain last week, I attended the meeting while homesick. So you'll see in the spreadsheet in the explanation that came from Donna today, the adjustments that were made in year 1, the reserve fund transfer was $345,923. It's now $100,000 less at $245,923. That came from the Board of Finance vote. So based on that, I asked that CIP meet again so that we could take a look at how this affected the entire plan. And the adjustments that were made was the dump truck in year 1, which on the spreadsheet you're looking at, Jim, is in line 12. We moved from paying for it in full out of the reserve fund to leasing, or to paying a portion out of the reserve fund and leasing a portion. So now it's being budgeted to be purchased $100,000 from the reserve fund and about $125,000 in a lease. So the only difference is that that change creates a lease payment in the public works budget. We didn't budget for that. And so I'll be making a recommendation to the Board of Finance at the public hearing, and we'll have discussion on that. That creates a $20,896 payment for that particular purchase. So the committee's rationale was to increase the projected balance in the reserve fund at the end of June of 2023, because if you recall, Donna had recommended to the Board of Finance that they take the monies we asked for Moose Meadow Road from the reserve fund. And so that was part of my concern, was the adjustment made by the Board of Finance, and then Donna's suggestion that we take that money, which the board moved on, would then change the balance in that fund at the end of 2023, which would have left us with about $25,000. So I don't think it's ever good to get that reserve fund down so low. And so that was the change. And the lease assumptions, just, are based on 7 years. Donna based them on an assumption of a 5% rate and 2 payments per year of just over $10,000. Okay. So, well, we talked about the entire plan. That was the only change in the plan. And so it only is a change in year one, but this plan now would go to the townspeople at town meeting to be approved, and because it comes from us to be approved there, I wanted to make sure we had another look at it. So I will,
So that's 13 and 14, right? Those two.
yes.
I think she
Yes.
broke it up.
Yeah, so she
into
broke it up
lines.
into 100,000 from one source and 125 from the other.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve the CIP plan as adjusted based on the recommendation of the CIP committee.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Excavator, is that still in plan?
It is still in the plan. This is in year one of the
I
plan.
remember the Board of Finance talking about it. I don't know where they left off with it.
Yeah, they didn't have discussion to
They didn't.
take it out. No.
Say anything about that.
No, so it's still in the plan. And we took a look at that, and, we had discussion about kind of everything in the plan, and if we thought there should be any additional changes. And so this is because we made this adjustment based on the amount of money that was reduced by the Board of Finance, so that we made sure we didn't leave that reserve fund somewhere.
And how much is capital spending increasing now? 2022, 2023 year.
I don't have that figure. It's not on here, so that's in our budget. So I don't have a new number there. I haven't plugged, we haven't plugged that in. I'll have that number
Those are
as we
kind of
meet
things
tomorrow at Board of
like-
Finance. Well, so it's gonna be a decrease.
Yeah.
Right, in spending, because we took $100,000 out. So it's gonna add to a decrease there. But tomorrow when I speak at the public hearing to the Board of Finance, I'll have that number. Right, any other discussion on the plan as on the motion?
No discussion.
Okay. All right, so we'll do a vote. All those in favor?
In favor of moving it along, so I'll say aye.
All right, motion carries. No, thanks CIP for coming back
I
together.
think you hinted
To do
at,
that
there's a
work.
public hearing tomorrow.
Yes, I'll get to that later in my,
People come out
and speak.
and
Yes.
speak and tell us what you think about our budget,
All right,
capital spending.
new business. All right, appointments. So we have two appointments. I'm gonna start with the first one. It's for a certified municipal collector. While I had every intention, and I will, I still do, Janice is on the call with us, of moving Janice's appointment from acting municipal, acting municipal collector to a certified Connecticut municipal collector. Janice has done the coursework. She did it well within the time frame. She passed all of her courses with exceptional grades. She sat for the final exam. There's a process that goes beyond us where she has to apply. She had to have been in a tax office for 3 years. She has done that as of tomorrow. It'll be her 3-year anniversary with us. But the tax collectors group has a process by which they allow you to use the certified municipal collector title. And not until such time as they review her application and they formally sign it and give her certification. So because of that, we believe, Janice, if you want to chime in, we believe it should be about May. She's already applied. I signed the form for her to do that today. She's met all the qualifications. So now their group and sign it, and then they'll formally give her her certificate. They note that they email it and mail it first. So once she has that, then she can use that title. And until such time, we believe we should wait to appoint her a certified municipal collector.
Yeah.
Janice,
Yeah, so until I get the actual signed certificate from the governor stating that I did pass everything and all, I cannot use the CCMC designation. So until that happens, I don't think the appointment makes any sense because I'm still acting until then.
Janice had been in communications with some members of that group, and so she received an email as late as today. And so while I'm ready to appoint her, I think she's done a great job. She's, you know, done all the things we've asked her to do. We don't want to appoint her and go
We
outside of
certainly
the
can say
process.
congratulations for bringing it to this point.
Oh, yeah.
It's out of our hands at this point.
Correct,
so
and I
it's-
think I shared with the board back in, I believe it was in December, when Janice took that final course and took that final exam. And so now we just wait for the technical part of the process. So I will say, we will hold off on this appointment, and I look forward to the day we can officially appoint her and give her all the credit that is due. So,
So congratulations, Janice. Good
so
for you.
with that, I will.
Thank
move-
you.
Yes, we'll move on to item B, zoning board of appeals. I will move to appoint Stephen Swart, as a regular member of the zoning board of appeals, effective April 5th, 2022, expiring December 30th, 2023.
Has he sent a letter in or something like that?
If you second, I'll talk about it.
Second, for purposes of discussion.
Discussion. So he has not, he's been a member. There was a lapse where we didn't reappoint him, so
Oh.
his reappointment slipped through the cracks. So when Robbie gave it to us, it's been so long, he needs to be he just needs a
Yeah.
whole new appointment.
Oh,
At
that
this
makes
point.
sense then.
Yes, so he never really left, and they haven't had to meet for some time, which is another reason why it happened. So he's still with us, thus there was no, that's why you didn't receive a new letter from him. He's still
Got
with the commission. And they haven't met in a while, so. All right, any further discussion?
So we have a motion and a second.
Motion and a second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, tax, excuse me, tax refunds. All right. I will move to refund Joan Laframboise a certificate of correction in the amount of $98.07.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I move to refund Stephen J. Wilkinson a certificate of correction in the amount of $342.19.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I move to refund Frank R. Simlick a certificate of correction in the amount of $30.14.
Second.
Seconded by Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I move to refund Robert or Mary Washinsky a certificate of correction in the amount of $22.50.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. That brings us to, or any other new business? No, so none. All right, that brings us, excuse me, to present to speak. Is anyone on the call that would like to speak? You can unmute yourself. Identify yourself for the record. Going once, going twice. All right, present to speak closed. Good and welfare. All right, I've got a couple of items. Jim, do you have anything you want to share?
I do, as you know, there's been a resident, I guess, mailing us and emailing us about speeding problems on Village Hill Road.
Correct.
He seemed to be somewhat frustrated and no one's contacting him, but I also know that we've been very busy with the budget season and, you know, people coming and going in the town office here, so I, you know, composing a letter here, but I don't believe it's been sent yet.
So if you want to send a letter separate from the board, that is certainly your prerogative. Something comes out of the selectman's office, that would be
Yeah.
different. We've communicated with that particular resident. And I know we did speak at our last meeting about some of the things that we're looking to put in place. George put some
We did.
monitors up, and we're going to take a look at the data, so.
At this point, I thought that we could give you the time that you
Sure.
need to address the issue. Sounded like you were in work.
Okay. All right, so I'll remind folks that tomorrow night at 7 PM upstairs, in the common room and online will be the opportunity for residents to speak on the budget that has been put forth by the Board of Finance. After that meeting will be a Board of Finance meeting, where they could make any additional adjustments to the budget. And then that will then move us to town meeting, which will be 2 weeks from tomorrow, April 19th, where we'll have an annual town meeting that typically at that point moves the budget to referendum, which will be held on Tuesday, May 3rd. So it's some really important dates. So if you want to be part of the process, and I encourage everyone to come out and speak and be heard on all the budgets that were put together by the town and the Board of Finance. So that's tomorrow at 7 PM upstairs in the common room and on Zoom.
It's that public hearing tomorrow where you have the biggest impact to make
Correct.
changes. A little bit less so at the town meeting. Although one of the
Correct.
outcomes is, we reviewed the budget at the town meeting.
Correct.
It's assumed then, if everybody's happy with it, it moves on to referendums, time, place, location. But
That is correct.
when we make the call, I think it's possible that it's a bunch of people to show up at that point and don't like the budget.
I
and wanna
suppose
send it
anything is
back.
possible. It's a town meeting. They get to be heard on the
So,
item at hand. So
yeah.
right
as
now,
long
there's
as
no
the
call for the town meeting,
As
so we'll
long as
wait
the
till-
call allows for that potential,
the call allows for, whatever the questions are on the call.
right,
So-
but if it's like, if
Right. So,
whoever residents show up and they approve, you should be able to set the town meeting. They should be able to set the polling place and location, date and time, all that kind of stuff.
that is all.
Or if you don't approve it, you should be able to send it back and take other
So,
action.
so there's a couple of things that happen. There's going to be a referendum on May 3rd. And that's at the very least, the Region 19 has to be held by state statute on that day.
Yep.
So that will move forward. So anything beyond, let's see what happens at the Board of Finance still has the budget at this point. They haven't moved it forward to us to a town meeting, but there's opportunities at town meeting to discuss based on the call of that meeting. So I apologize, Kelsey did reach out, so we'll have a special meeting later this week to call the town meeting based on the outcome of the budget hearing and the Board of Finance meeting. So we'll be able to set that call I believe we're meeting on Thursday.
Yes, that's what I'm ready.
All right. Mobile food share will be here next Wednesday, 13th from 11 to 11:30. It is still every other Wednesday here, and it is open to all. I once again ask you if you can support our small businesses and restaurants, please do. I remind you that Memorial Day weekend will look a lot more familiar in Wellington. God bless you. After a 2-year hiatus, Wellington Day will be held on the 28th. The PTA road race will also be on the morning of May 28th. And the Memorial Day parade and presentation will be on Monday, May 30th on Memorial Day. So if you can, please join us. And then I am happy to say the reason that Selectwoman Horace is not with us tonight is she is working hard to finish her preparations for her doctoral dissertation, oral defense, which is happening this Friday. So please join me in wishing her the best as she defends her doctoral dissertation, and I look forward to such time as we can greet her with a new title. And I want to take the opportunity, while Troy's in the room with us, his last day with us is this Friday, to, in front of the board and anyone else, to thank him for his 3 years with us. I wish him well. I wish that on our next meeting, I can tell you he's still with us. Let me see. I won't give up hope. But thank you, Troy. Your impact has been very meaningful. I know some of the things your crew has shared. They certainly are going to miss you. A couple of terms of sentiment, so that you were the best director that some of these guys have had in their time. And that comes from one of them that has been here with us 30 years. So, thank you.
Thank you, Troy.
All right. See no other business before us. I would make a motion to adjourn at 7:05.
I'll second.
Debatable matter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You don't have to listen to my squeaky voice anymore. Good night.